Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nordic Sound channel. I know, it's been a minute. It's been a little difficult, as you can imagine, after puppy sitting, house sitting, and spring break, getting into my old flow of things, my old routine. But here I am, doing the best I can to get back into it, especially with my trusty co-host at my side. A lot of you mentioned that you miss seeing Cricket's bright shining face and feathers in the videos. So here he is, printing away. He's molting. It's that time of year. He's covered in itchy little pin feathers. So if you follow me on any of the social media platforms outside of YouTube, you'll remember that I posted a few days ago about how we've been a little deep in the dark folk, Viking-y, and even heavy metal side of Nordic music lately. And as you guys know, on this channel I like to talk about Nordic music of all kinds, and so for the next few reviews, and especially the interview coming up this weekend with Norway's Gangar, who will be playing at Midgardsblå 2023, I'm going to put us back into the more traditional folk side of things, at least for a little bit. It's just been a bit since I've gotten to just talk about some good old-fashioned fiddling. So that is what we are going to be doing here for the next few videos on the channel. With that in mind, I am going to be kicking off this return to traditional folk with talking about Sweden's progressive folk duo Symbio's latest album, Endeavour. So let's get right into it. Since 2011, Swedish progressive folk duo Symbio has been impressing audiences all over the world with their unique and killer blend of hurdy-gurdy, played by Johannes Hellman, and the accordion and kickbox, played by Larsemil Öjeberget. Through their albums over the years, Symbio has shown listeners that, while esoteric and unexplored, this particular duet of instruments is a powerful force to be reckoned with. And in the right hands, can create some downright awesome music that gives our ears some new timbres to chew on. I mean, it's not often we get to listen to hurdy-gurdy and accordion playing folk music together, just the two of them, accompanied by a kickbox. So according to the booklet for the album, which Symbio was more than kind enough to share with me ahead of the review, thank you guys, Endeavor's core theme is exactly what it says on the box: an endeavor. It's a striving to achieve that beautiful feeling of making music together, music that moves us and music that people want to pass on to the world. And with Endeavour being their first post-pandemic foray into the recording studio, this theme isn't really surprising to me at all. We already have and will continue to see many artists across all genres responding to the relentlessly quiet and isolating loneliness many of us felt over the last few years during the pandemic. Now, if you're tired of hearing about the pandemic, I don't blame you, as I myself sometimes get the shakes when I start to think about it, but given the timeline of making an album, writing it, recording it, releasing it, 2023 is likely going to be where we start to see the heaviest influx of bands releasing albums that are responding in some capacity to a yearning for that social and communal aspect of music making that so many of us didn't get to experience for far too long. Now, with this in mind, the music of the album, I feel, beautifully captures the feeling of ecstasy one feels when caught up in the throbbing rhythms and ephemeral choruses of live music. Endeavour, the title and opening track of the album, for instance, displays right away the stunning kaleidoscope of timbre that emanates from the accordion and the hurdy-gurdy playing together. Now, some may be off-put by the EDM electronic-inspired backing tracks here at first, especially like those echoed snaps. But for the music dorks, considering the lack of what we call attack on either the accordion or the hurdy-gurdy, I think the percussive backing tracks add a layer of sharpness to the overall mix that would be noticeably lacking without it. And for those of you with a natural aversion to that style of percussion sampling, next up we have one of my runner-up favorite tracks on the album, Journeys, which immediately pairs back those samples I just talked about to give us an insanely fun track driven by Öjeberget's pulsing accordion and kickbox, with Hellman's hurdy-gurdy dancing between some serious riffage and beautifully lyrical passages. Now, for those of you who remember way back in the day, a few months ago, of my review of Nabala's debut album, you guys know that I am a sucker for a good break in an energetic track. And that's exactly what happens here in Journeys. After all of this insane hurdy-gurdy riffage, the accordion kickbox just pulsing away with this throbbing rhythm, this break happens in the latter half of the track that, again, is just like the sky opening up at the perfect time before the track comes to a thrilling conclusion. Nothing short of phenomenal work on this track. Absolutely adore it. Now, the third track, Reminisce, slows things down for just a moment with a steady stream of full and lush chord flourishes on the accordion, lulling you into a false sense of security before it happens. A beat kicks in, and once it kicks in, you realize Symbio isn't ready to give you a slow track just yet, and gives us one more burst of energy before the real slow track, the Luminary, slows things down for real. This track is sort of a sacrificial lamb, I feel. On its own, the track doesn't really stand out like the others, but in the context of listening to this album all the way through, I think it's a pretty important break in the energy of the album to let the listener catch their breath, if you will. Especially because this break happens just in time to prepare us for my favorite track on the album, Genom Mörker. Genom Mörker is easily the most compositionally interesting track on the album. It's the most complex tune with the most contrast that follows a programmatic narrative that can be read in the liner notes of the CD. The background of this track reads, "To survive darkness, we must meet it and pass right through it. This can be heavy and painful, but it can be easier if a friend is there to help. Let us pass through our darkness together." In short, Genom Mörker delivers on this narrative due to a clever modulation in the middle, leading into a really intense and uncharacteristically dark and eerie middle section of the track that builds up to the glorious moment that I think is very clearly meant to reflect the final passing through the darkness with a triumphant and heart-pounding return to a major key with that awesome hurdy-gurdy riffage coming right back. If you listen to no other track on this album, at the very least check this one out. The hurdy-gurdy riffage, as I keep saying, absolutely insane, and the accordion's harmonic work is pure gold. Now, the remaining 3 tracks on this album continue the same sort of momentum found in the first 3, with Soul Siblings serving as the same breather purpose as The Luminary, and Arrows of Light and Lucid Dreams bringing the album to a really solid ending. Sometimes albums can really overstay their welcome, and it runs out of gas way before the album's done. That feeling can usually manifest itself as you're like, okay, I'm a little done with this. How many tracks do we have left? Oh, we still have like 4 tracks left. Ideally, I feel like that's not a place you want an album to be. And I feel like Symbio knows this because the album ends when I'm just starting to feel like I'm a little done with listening to it. That sounds bad on the surface, but no album lasts forever. And in my mind, it is way better as a band to end the album on a high note than to end it after the listener is tired. And Symbio chooses to end it when you're done with it. Anyway, if you ever hear about another reviewer complaining that an album is too long, that's usually what they mean. They are not complaining that we were given too much music. They're typically just noting the fact that an album can overstay its welcome. So on Arrows of Light in particular, I really like that the accordion gets the spotlight with a really juicy lick in the bass, as well as a accordion solo for the first time. And on Lucid Dreams, the chord work in the accordion adds a notable amount of dreamlike atmosphere to fit the theme. So in short, the music of Endeavour is pure euphoria, and beautifully captures the feeling of being lost in live music if you allow yourself to get totally immersed in the album. I can only imagine just how much fun it must be to see these guys live after listening to their albums. Because Symbio shows us yet another example of just how much is still left unexplored in music even today, even in folk music, and throughout all the tracks on this album, and this is what I think is the most important. Throughout all of the tracks on this album, you can hear the passion, the dedication, and the love for their craft shining clean through the mix. So don't hesitate, go give Endeavour a spin, and you'll see what I mean when I say you just can't help but smile listening to Symbio's music. And so friends, that brings me to the end of my review of Symbio's Endeavour. It's good to be back. Thanks for being patient with me as I've tried to get back into the swing of things. And, oh yeah, happy 500 subscribers. Absolutely unreal to see that number, considering just a year ago I wasn't even at 100. So, you guys are the best. Thank you for your support. It means the world to me, seriously. So if you want to see the channel grow even further, be sure to give the video a like to bump it up in the algorithm, subscribe, and even leave a comment on your favorite track. If you give it a listen, I hope you do. So to support the channel more directly, head on over to patreon.com/baldscald and check out the various patron tiers I offer over there, including the monthly story time, which we just had another one, read a really funny one, The Boy Without Fear from Iceland. It's just what it says on the box. It's just a story about a young man that doesn't feel fear, and he has no idea why everyone's freaking out about stepping over corpses and dismembered trolls and stuff. It's a good time. And so friends, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next time on the Nordic Sound channel.